Free dental care.
Free dental care.
Free dental care.
Free dental care. Free dental care.
Free dental care.
Close to 100,000 seniors have gotten free dental care.
This is not free dental care.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, David. It's not a free program.
Federal Health Minister Mark Holland held a press conference about the Dead on Arrival dental plan, where he was forced to retract a statement that he and the NDP had been making for months.
Let's take a look.
Just wondering how confident you are that all patients who want to access the program now will be able to at their dentist, because in the past some had gone to their dentist who said they weren't participating. How much do you think that will solve that issue for people?
Well, this is, Darren said at the beginning, hard things are hard. It's true. This is the largest federal program ever launched. In 2 months, the fact that we're almost at 50% now, just under 50% of oral health providers participating, dentists, hygienists, and denturists, 250,000 Canadians served, more than 400,000 claims. This is remarkable progress in a very short period of time. But we always acknowledged that 9 million is a big number, and making sure that everybody gets the care that they need is going to take a lot of work. This is a very important, I would say, leap in that direction. I've spent a huge amount of time, as I know Darren and Jeanette have, talking to providers. I'm talking to them nearly every day. And, one of the things that I hear is, they've been burned by other programs. They didn't have positive experiences. So, making sure that they see and feel that this program is really listening to them and responding to their needs and being there for them and is a fair partnership is extremely important. I talked about Dr. McCarr. I mean, I think that if you talk to providers about their experience, it has been very positive, but a lot of them want to dip a toe in the water, right? They want to try this out, but they don't want to be fully committed, since they want to make sure that it works for them, for their patients, for their practice. And that's why the claim by claim is so important. That's going to help things for sure. It's going to mean that it's a lot easier to get access. And we've seen regional discrepancies. There's certain parts of the country where we actually see denturists and dentists and hygienists putting ads, billboards out and out of home campaigns to attract people who are part of this program. And in another part of the country, we have shortages. So I'm going to speak just briefly to some of the other solutions we're working on outside of this. One is the loan forgiveness program. And, I've been to 4 out of the 10 dental faculties in this country. I'll be to every single one. And I get an opportunity to talk with the next generation of oral health professionals. And 2 of 1, they say, I want to come to rural communities. I want to come to smaller communities. But I got this debt, and that's a big deal for me. And, I need that help. So this program, I think, is going to make a really material difference. Because imagine it this way. Let's say you're a new student, you're coming out of one of those 3 streams I'm talking about, but let's talk about dentists for a second. You're a new dentist. Normally it takes about 14 years to do a book of business. Now you need 14 seconds, right? You've got patients who are lined up out the door for this program. But starting a practice is difficult, particularly in a community you don't know. Okay, that's where loan forgiveness comes in. And then we have, when we're talking with persons with disabilities, whether or not it's an intellectual disability or any other form of disability, these are folks where, we need to do additional training. There's a lot of dentists who haven't seen these folks ever. There's a lot of people who, we need to reach out to and connect and get to. So that's where the Oral Health Access Care Fund comes in. So it was always contemplated this would be iterative. I would say that this is a spectacularly positive start.
This sounds like it's going to be spectacularly more expensive than was originally forecasted.
Oh, of course.
Which is par for the course for the Liberal, government. So now they're adding loan forgiveness to dental students when they come out of school.
I don't understand that. I mean, at least where we live, there's a dentist on every corner. But they should be doing loan forgiveness for nurses and for doctors, not for dentists.
Yeah. Now, I don't know the stats on dentists leaving Canada, but I'm going to just guess that it's not to the degree that we have doctors, neurosurgeons, cardiologists, like everything in between. Because when it comes to healthcare, there are far more specializations than there are in dentistry.
But also, like I said, why would you do loan forgiveness if there's so many of them? Like you're not trying to attract more dentists into Canada, because there are, at least what it seems like around here, there are quite a number already. But something like nurses or doctors, where we have a shortage, that would be a place to have loan forgiveness if you're going to do it at all.
That these numbers, if you were to ask me, represented, I think, our best and highest expectations and hopes for the first 2 months of the program. But we will be relentless, and it is our job. It is our job, frankly, to make sure that everybody gets care they need.
Follow-up question. How do you make sure a dental office is not going to be overloaded with patients and not be able to serve everyone in a timely fashion?
Well, in the first order, it's a good problem to have as a business, to have more patients and more customers than you have space to be able to accommodate.
No, it's not. Not in a service industry like dental or even veterinary. And I'll speak to veterinary because I used to work in veterinary.
Or just before you do that, ask any Canadian who's gone to a hospital. Ask them if it's a good problem to have. That you, like, what a toned... I have to calm down on that one. What a completely tone-deaf thing to say. Like, what happens if you have people that, have been going to the dentist, have normal insurance, and they're waiting on the dentist on a cavity or a root canal or, something, that they, need to have seen.
Yeah, well, something painful.
Yeah. Now you have all of these other people that are coming in, and not that they're not important. The people aren't the problem. The program is. And now you have all these people. Like, it's obvious they haven't done any sort of analysis to be able to, look at, and why am I not surprised? Because they don't talk to anybody, region by region, to be able to, put together some estimates for each of the offices to say, okay, you can expect to see a 30% increase, a 10% increase, so that these offices can, manage their expectations.
Patient load, yeah. I will speak to, I'll use veterinary as an example because I used to work in veterinary, and I wasn't working in veterinary during COVID, but I had very close friends who were, and they had said, our patient load has increased by 50% because everybody who was now finding themselves at home instead of in the office went out and got a puppy, went out and got a kitten. And so the patient load increased by 50% for most clinics, if not more. And staff were getting burned out. You couldn't get an appointment for your pet. If you had an emergency, you couldn't call your regular vet. You had to call around and see if anybody else would take you. And that happened to us when our dog had his seizures, that he couldn't go to the regular vet. He couldn't go to the regular emergency vet in town. We had to drive 40 minutes away just to get care for him. So it's bad for patients, and it's bad for staff too.
Yeah, if you have all these extra patients, you can't just see more patients in the same day. That's not how it works, Mark. Like, this isn't retail.
Well, you can hire more staff to help with the load, but if you don't have the physical space in the office, it's not going to help.
Well, and here's the other thing. Are these one-time visits from these patients or not? You don't know. So even hiring extra staff, is that even going to be feasible? Like,
it's not necessarily a good thing for service industries like dentistry or veterinary to have more patients than they can handle. So sorry, Mark, you're wrong.
I was in Scarborough, a dental practice that's operating at 200%. They're literally double where they were last year. So there's smoke coming off the wheels. And there's some that are ready to do that, but that's not everybody, and it shouldn't be. But a lot of people have folks within their existing client base, right? Where I say, look, even if you can't take on new people, You got a ton of folks who are in your existing client base who are very income insecure. Maybe they'd only been coming in to see you once every few years, right? And I'm talking to professionals who say, that person who's only coming in every once in a few years, they get major problems in their mouth, which ends up being more costly and puts their health at risk.
Now we're assuming how often people are going to the dentist.
Well, and we're assuming that it's due to cost and not fear, which is a huge factor in dentistry. A lot of people are scared to go to the dentist. A lot of people find it uncomfortable to go to the dentist. A lot of people just don't want to be there, so they don't go unless there's a major problem.
And, here's him bragging. Oh, well, there's this one dentist at Scarborough. They're operating at 200%. Great. You know what that means, Mark? It means that all of their patients are now waiting double the amount of time to get in to see the dentist.
Well, and their staff are going to burn out even faster.
So, I'm saying to folks, you got a claim by claim process now. Just even if you're going to do it for your existing patients, there's a lot of them that are vulnerable. And, every step forward, every new patient seen represents a huge, important success. So I think we got to be focusing on that consistent, steady progress forward. Seeing that provider number. I didn't say that provider number is now at 12,000. Every time I speak, that number goes up. Every time I speak, the number of patient goes up. So we just got to keep that pressure up.
Anybody else in the room?
Hi, Jonathan McGinnis, CTV News. We've heard some national numbers about the uptake of this program. Do you have a breakdown for what we're seeing here in Nova Scotia?
Yeah, Nova Scotia is improving. Nova Scotia is behind in terms of some other regions, and that is particularly more challenging in the rural and remote areas of Nova Scotia, and that's not surprising because they already were stressed. So part of the challenge that we're hearing from certain regions is that before this program even began, some rural and remote communities already had challenges meeting the patient needs for folks who already had insurance.
We've heard providers, dentists talk about a lack of staff within their offices as a reason they're not able to pursue this program. How can this help in that area?
Well, today is a great example of it. Normally, as a health minister, I'm talking about doctors, I'm talking about nurses, I'm talking about personal support workers. Now I'm talking about dentists, denturists, dental assistants, hygienists, denturists. So now I'm part of the conversation, and Jeanette and Darren and I are fully committed to helping in this space. Before oral health was off on its own. These issues existed before we came along, just they had no partner. And I think this is a real problem with oral health.
Okay, what he just said was extremely stupid.
Explain for us, please.
Well, let's look at it. So the reporter says a lot of these offices are not participating because they don't have the staff to actually take on the load of the potential patients coming in.
The normal patients, that's without this dental care program.
Right. So Mark says, oh, well, that's fine. I'm a part of the conversation now. And this problem has existed for a long time. Time out. So if you're saying these places didn't have enough staff before, and now you're just saying, all right, everybody, get on this program, go and see your dentist.
But we should be running at 200% capacity. And this is what I was talking about with the burnout.
And you are foisting all of these Canadians, and you're setting their expectation, by the way, Mark, that you can go into the dentist and get to see them tomorrow. Well, if you're saying you've known before this plan even came out that all of these dental offices didn't have enough staff, what kind of an asshole are you and the rest of the Liberals when you're just basically kicking these people while they're down trying to run their practice?
And there's another thing that doesn't get talked about very much, and dentists and veterinarians have this in common, unfortunately, is that they have high rates of self-harm and suicide in both professions due to the stress. So now you're creating even more stress by overburdening these dentists and hygienists with all these patients that, for all intents and purposes, are new patients, and they're increasing their clinic capacity, creating more stress. And it's just not a good situation.
And then the poor receptionists and anybody else answering the phone are going to have to deal with these people yelling at them because the Liberals told them they can go and see the dentist. Well, and they're telling them, you can't get in here for 3 to 6 months. Sorry. So, like,
It doesn't make sense.
you guys didn't talk to anybody in this. You didn't consult anybody, and you're just assuming this is going to work. And like you do with everything else, you're going to point it at everybody else when it doesn't.
Was this bizarre bit of our health system that was floating out in a different orbit that public officials weren't spending any time and attention on. And I just use the example of the loan forgiveness program as an example. It was a problem before we arrived, but it's one that I think we can ameliorate through cooperation.
Minister Holland, your officials today, they gave us a technical briefing. It was very helpful. And one of the things that they mentioned was, and they stressed, this is not free dental care. And that, of course, is something that dentists had wished that had been communicated better by the government. So I wondered, could you right now affirm that it's not free dental care? And what will your government be doing to better communicate who's eligible, how to apply, what the limits are, how to get paid and all that? Because I think that was dentists' concern too, that their clients, their patients were showing up and really were unclear about some of the important details of the program.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, David. It's not a free program. So folks will get their package in the mail. For those that are under 70,000, they don't have a copay. So what we've done, dentists have a separate process to set their rates. We have a process that we've engaged in Health Canada to determine what we think is fair and what we think we can cover. And there's sometimes there's a difference between those. So they call that balanced billing or equal billing. So folks should have a conversation with their provider, and they should expect that in many instances there will be some fees. So
Wow. They've been touting this as free dental care for how long?
Free dental care.
Free dental care.
Free dental care.
Free dental care, free dental care.
Free dental care. Close to 100,000 seniors have gotten free dental care.
What did Jagmeet say in that video we did? Was it yesterday, the day before? You know, Sue and her dentures, you know, she deserves free dentures. Like, something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing here. But, this is shocking to me because I don't even think they've exposed that to us previously. Like,
No.
to Canadians, like, they haven't made this information available, which is why Northern Perspective didn't have it.
Yeah, and I think it's because they were playing the shell game, or they didn't even understand how the dental billing system even worked. Probably both, in that people were showing up and the dentists were like, what do you want us to do here? And I'm assuming part of the not free part is there's going to be procedures that the dentists do that are not going to be covered by this dental program.
Well, like, I mean, for example, I know the year our son was born, I needed a crown on one of my teeth, and we had to pay 50%. It wasn't covered by the insurance. Like, it wasn't fully covered by the insurance. There was a copay. So I imagine it's going to be something like that for this dental program, for cleaning, for extractions, for fillings, for crowns, for all of it.
Well, and this is the thing. And were the dentists assuming that people knew and they were just booking them in, and then all of a sudden it was time to pay, and the people are like, what? Like, this is...
That's bad.
It's terrible. It is terrible.
Because, you know, a lot of the folks that are eligible for dental care right now, they not
don't have the money.
The extra money, especially like if you're there and the dentist is like, okay, well, you owe me $50. And it's like, well, I don't have that kind of money. I thought it was free. They've been telling me for the last however long that it's free.
Well, and then Holland says, we'll talk to your provider.
Again, passing the buck. They're passing the buck onto the provider in this case. They're not telling Canadians because, again, we didn't even know. And we've been reporting on this dental program for, I don't even know how many months, since its inception, pretty much. So if we didn't know, then probably the greater population did not know either. And like, this is just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
That they would try to hide this and go, oh, free dental care, free dental care. It's not free. It sounds like there is a copay. And what it sounds like is that For example, if you go to your dentist and when they clean your teeth, they usually break it down into 15-minute blocks called a unit. So if you have 1 unit of scaling and say your dentist charges $20 and this government program only pays $15 for a unit of scaling, well, then there's a $5 difference that the patient is going to be expected to pay. And if the patient doesn't know about that, they're going to be in for a surprise after they're cleaning.
Well, the other thing that might happen too is if they go in and then they need a filling, and then they need anesthesia or stuff like that, some of that is broken out in the billing and some of it is paid by insurance and some of it isn't. And some procedures are paid for by insurance and some of it isn't. It depends on what the plan is.
Well, they shouldn't have called it free dental care. They should have called it like dental insurance or something like that so that people kind of understand, okay, there is a copay or there might be a copay. It doesn't cover everything.
Well, and when you say you're rolling out a national dental care program, what does that sound like? It sounds like everything regarding dental care is free.
Yeah, it sounds like OHIP, right?
Free. Yeah. Like our national healthcare program. Everything's covered.
Or provincial anyways. I mean, each province has their own, but yeah, more or less.
So
this is unbelievable. I wonder how many Canadians have, been eligible for this program, have gone to the dentist and have gotten a nasty surprise at the end.
I also wonder, he's saying 250,000. 250,000 people signed up. How many of those people actually went to the dentist and have actually gone through and gotten their teeth cleaned?
Or then gotten a nasty surprise at the end in the form of a bill they weren't expecting.
Or did they get there and they were said, oh, well, yeah, it's not free. And then they walked away because they can't afford it. I would be very interested in those stats.
There can be a discrepancy. But, when I'm talking to people who are getting care, the vast preponderance of their cost is covered for the program. And that's indicative of most insurance programs that you would see out there.
So then why did you call it an insurance program?
Yeah, come on, Mark.
You've been calling it national dental care or free dental care. Canadians deserve free dental care. Like, this is so dishonest and it's as transparent as mud.
God, Canadians are just sick of the lies. Sick of the lies. Oh, well, it's the vast preponderance of, what does that mean, Mark? Does that mean 55%? Does it mean 60%? Does it mean 90%? Because it's not free.
Well, why didn't they tell Canadians from the beginning?
Because they needed a win.
But I think it's in terms of what are we doing about it, the package that people receive clearly enumerates that. And then secondly, I'm talking to, in fact, I just had a talk with the head of the Canadian Dental Association to say, okay, we've got some material. How do we make sure that you can share that to your patients? I think anytime you start a brand new program, a lot of times you have folks who have never gotten care, have never interacted with a dental office. So there are a lot of questions. And I think that those are fair. And we want to help ease that burden of making it as simple to understand for patients as possible.
So you launched this program. You didn't give any material to any of the dentists that were participating to, give them information that people probably are going to ask for?
Well, and that's another point, actually, is that I wonder if this was sprung on the dentists as well, because if it's being advertised to Canadians as free dental care, you would think that if people were booking an appointment at a dentist under this program, they would mention, like the dental office would mention, it's not actually free dental care. There may be a fee. We can let you know ahead of time how much it'll be, et cetera, to avoid any nasty surprises. And I don't get the feeling that was communicated.
Well, no, because he's just saying now, well, we have some material for you to, pass along to your patients.
This just sounds like a huge mess.
Sounds like a government administrative program is what it sounds like.
Looking ahead to the possibility where a province, and we know Alberta might be one of these at this point, says, okay, ministry, we want to work with you. We want to supplement our provincial program or whatever it might be. Would you begin your negotiating position with the province saying, whatever we do, we don't want to mess up this new arrangement with providers and patients. In other words, it may be an issue between Alberta and Ottawa where the money goes, but we don't want to, if you even understand what I'm saying, once a patient gets used to using this program, once a provider gets used to billing Sun Life directly for this program, presumably you don't want to upset that for providers and patients.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, David. So, I mean, I think what you're seeing is a very positive experience, both for providers and for patients, and that has to be maintained. And patients need to know that there's not going to be a deterioration in their coverage. Let me state it very plainly. Danielle Smith can say whatever she wants. She can make whatever proclamation she wants, but we're not going to allow people who don't have coverage in Alberta or anywhere else in the country to lose their coverage. Now, if Alberta wants to take it over, I don't have a problem with that. I think that, for Darren, Jeanette, and our entire caucus, our mission here is to make sure that people are covered and taken care of. I don't think a senior who's walking into, Dr. McCarr's office cares who pays for the darn service. Like, they just want to get teeth in their mouth, or they want to get them clean.
What a statement. They just want to get teeth in their mouth. Oh my God.
I'm still sitting here shocked that another thing we just found out, that this program sounds like it's being administered through Sun Life.
Well, it would be administered through some sort of, insurance company. Could be Sun Life. I don't know.
Well, they said Sun Life.
I don't know if Agan just threw that out there, but it's probably, the government has typically done business through Sun Life or Canada Life. So...
Yeah, those were the government benefit programs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
they just cut a check to Sun Life, administer our dental program for us.
Yep.
So they went through an insurance provider and are not calling it dental insurance. They're calling it free dental care.
Yeah. And you better believe Sun Life is charging money to administrate that program.
Oh, of course they are.
So,
because Sun Life is a business, right? It's a company. They are not just going to hand out checks, right? Like, there has to be profit in it for them.
Well, and I like how Mark says, we're not going to allow people who want to do this not have coverage. Okay, what does that mean, Mark? Are you going to go to court again? Superseding the the defined separation of power in this country between the responsibilities of the province and the federal government? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, because you guys have already been burned twice before.